Hey, welcome everybody. We're going to talk about how to use Snap and Read to translate and read aloud some of our ebooks. And it's pretty exciting because we can now have students read aloud and translate books from our digital library. You might be familiar with Sora. It's the same as Overdrive, a little bit different. We'll get into that. But I'm Miranda Doyle, one of the district librarians.
And I'm Carrie Light. I'm the other district librarian.
Hi, I'm Cubby Beard, and I work in assistive technology.
Great. And so as we go, please do go ahead and put your questions into chat. Here's our new Bitmoji library. We're all three in there. This is super fun. We distracted ourselves quite a bit making this. And there is a class on this later, and some of you already have Bitmojis, I can see from your profiles there. So awesome. So we have lots of ways that your students can hear books read out loud, and they can translate into other languages. So the way we're showing you today is not the only way. We have audiobooks, we have Bookshare for students who qualify, but this particular method uses our ebooks, and we have quite a selection. It's really going to be best for third grade and up, maybe second grade. Picture books, it's not going to work very well for, and we have other options for picture books. So if you have really young students, they might be happier using Epic or Tumble books. And there's a site called Unite for Literacy, which has great translation and human read alouds in other languages. So those are great tools for the younger kids. You'll see that this is probably better for chapter books than for picture books. And it also works best for students who are using Chromebooks or desktops or laptops, and not so much for iPads. Carrie, do you want to?
Sure. So we are going to be showing you what would be just the basic Overdrive site on the next slide. We'll show you that because you do want to go in through our Overdrive site, not through Sora. Snap and Read will work with Overdrive. Students do have to be logged into their Chrome browser with their Lake Oswego email. Lots of times kids will say, oh, it's not working, and they don't realize that they might be on their personal account. And then teachers may need to add the Snap and Read extension to their computer, and we can show you how to do that as well. And also, if students are using their personal devices, they would need to add Snap and Read as well. It is, if I believe, Miranda, Snap and Read is in all the student school devices at this point.
Certainly for Chromebooks, yes. So if they have a school Chromebook and they log in with their school account, which they have to use the school Chromebook, it will be there automatically. But it is not necessarily pushed out for teachers and staff. So you may need to add it and log in with your school account.
Okay. And so here's the difference. We want to go on kind of, I guess, the classic Overdrive site and not through our Sora, which is, just kind of not perfect, but it's just the way that the two apps talk to each other.
Right. So in the past, we've had to say, oh, I'm sorry, if we have books on Sora, there's no way to have Snap and read them aloud, at least not in a nice, easy way, friendly way, and no way to have it translate on Sora as well. But if we use our classic Overdrive site, which has all the same books and materials in it, now it does work. So that's what we wanted to show you here. And what Cubby will be demonstrating in a moment.
And the sign-in is essentially the same. The students would sign in with their school Google account, and staff would sign in with their staff email.
And Overdrive is the name of the company, and they have Sora for school libraries and Libby for public libraries. So it is a little confusing But basically, Overdrive and Sora are the same thing. It's just a different interface.
Okay, so here Miranda pointed out when you do a Google search, it's best if you do Lake Oswego Overdrive, and Cubby will show this. It's usually the first link that shows up where you can get that sign in.
Yeah. If students were going to Sora, they often go in through their Google Waffle and select the little rocket person icon. But that's if we're going to have them do a read aloud, a computer read aloud, or translate, they want to go in this way.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to turn it over to Cubby. She's going to do a demonstration. Do put any questions into the chat.
And I'll stop sharing so Cubby can take over.
Okay, do you see my screen now?
Yep.
Okay, great. So I'm going to go into Lake Oswego Overdrive. And it's the first link here. And you'll see it's the older interface, so it's not quite as pretty as Sora. And I'm going to choose staff. And then I'll sign it with my email. So when you're in this website, you want to make sure you're choosing a regular book. If you see anything with a set of headphones next to it, it's an audio book. Sorry, this is taking a little bit to load. Let's see if I can find what you don't. Okay, so you wouldn't want this book here because it's already an audio book. So you can choose a book and check out. I've already got several, so I'm going to go into my account. And you'll see here you have different options for different books. The one you want to choose is read in your browser. And I thought the stand was pretty appropriate. So you'll see my text is up on the screen now. And what I want to do is open up Snap and Read. And you'll see it's this target in your toolbar. If you don't have that target showing up, it may need to be added to your computer. The easiest way to do that is to do a search on Snap and Read extension and then go ahead and add it. So I'm going to choose it and turn it on. And the way I know it's working is that this black toolbar will show up here on the side of my screen. So when you're in a book, you always want to choose the tool first on the toolbar and then choose the text where you want to start. Otherwise, you may end up turning pages accidentally when you're trying to select text. So I'm going to choose the speaker. I'm going to choose the first word that I want to read and click it.
So here is the stand, Constant Reader, as its author originally intended for it to roll out of the showroom.
So that is the easiest way to get it to read. Something else that works when you're using Snap and Read is you can actually level the text. So this button, this third option with the circle being pointed into the square, will actually level the entire selection that you have on your screen in this square. And the way I know that a word has been changed is if it's italicized, I can hover over it and it will show me what it was and what it is now. If I want to translate a section, I can actually just choose this translate button here. And this is only going to show up if you have already chosen a language to translate into on your in your options for Snap and Read. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that and then click the text that I want to see translated. And here it is translated into French. It's not going to translate the whole book at one time, but it will translate a section at a time. And then if I also want to use the masking device, the hamburger tool, I can do that as well. And just kind of drag my mouse down the text and it's going to highlight a line at a time. If you're looking for options in Snap and Read and you want to change the voice or the language that you're translating into, if you'll click on the target again and go into options, you can see that I've chosen Samantha as my voice. Her volume is pretty loud. I've got her in the middle speed and the middle pitch. This is where I would choose which language I want to translate into. So I'm going to choose Korean here. Then I can go back to my text, click the translate tool again, and there's my selection in Korean. Do you have any questions? No. Okay, do you want to move on?
Okay, I have just a couple of quick things maybe you could demo. So one is, let's say a student and is an English learner but doesn't need, say, the whole paragraph or the whole page translated. Can they translate just a sentence or just a word?
Sure. So as long as you choose that translate tool and choose a single word, it'll pop up in your window.
Awesome. And what if I wanted to translate it and also hear it read out loud in that language?
So as long as it's in this window, I can actually use the speaker tool as well.
이기는 하지만.
Nice. Okay, great.
이기는 하지만.
And will this work on a website as well?
Yeah.
The answer.
Yes, we've taught it to many, many students here in the district on how to use Snap and Read to work with websites. Another thing that we've worked with students on is using this. Sorry, I'm having trouble with my windows. Let's see if I can. There we go. So the research store down here. We've worked with a lot of students on doing that, and this will actually work within a book. So I can do research on this book. I can grab whatever I think is important, and it pops up into my outline automatically. So this can also be a research tool as well.
That's awesome. So you could take notes on the book as you go. Somebody's asking, Cecilia asks, can you do a split screen with Snap and Read so the student can see both the teacher and the text?
Yes. So I may need to.
And you don't, I mean, we could demo if you want, but yes, as the person who's working with a student in split screen, you could absolutely be having it read out loud to them or translate for them. The student could open it up and start doing the same thing, but unless they present their screen, you won't see that. But absolutely, you could be in split screen and have the book up on one side and the student on the other, and be having it read aloud to them and translate. Although probably the human voice, like if it was in English at least, or a language you spoke, then you'd want to read it yourself probably to them. But the translation is great for working with English learners. If it's like a word they don't know and you translate it, that could be really helpful.
And Cubby, it's pretty easy to change languages for translation.
Yes. So as long as whenever you need an extra tool that you don't see here on this black toolbar, if you'll go into the Snap and Read icon and click on it, you'll see that options are here about the fifth choice down. And then my translate voice is over here. Excuse me. My translate into is here. And there are many, many languages out there.
And my understanding is that the Spanish and French are very, very good translations. Maybe the Chinese and Korean is a little less good, still helpful to students, but it is a machine translation. So it, of course, wouldn't be as good as reading a human translation of the book. And the same with the voice. So we do in Sora and Overdrive also have audiobooks that students could listen to. And then if they qualify, they can use sites like Bookshare, and we have other options for them. So do get in touch with us if you think a student needs audio or translation and a particular book. Okay. Cool, thank you. Carrie's going to present and we'll go over our last couple of slides, but if questions are coming up, and it could be about how to do this or anything related to books and audio and translation.
And I was going to share this slide presentation with everybody, but Cubby made this nice troubleshooting for Snap and Read, kind of getting started, how to get the extension, some tutorial links and so forth. So this is really helpful just to get started with it. And Cubby is really the Snap and Read go-to person if you have any questions. And then here are some more resources. Miranda mentioned that Sora and Overdrive do have books already in some languages. Bookshare, listed there first, is a special resource that we have in the district, but it's specifically for students who qualify for a text disability through their IEP or 504. And so they can be assigned to Bookshare. If you have questions or if you need to know if you have a student who might meet that text disability, you can ask Cubby for more information. And then you can use Snap and Read with Lake Oswego Public Library and Multnomah County Public Library ebooks if you read them on your browser.
Yeah, and do note also that Sora and Overdrive, we have purchased books in many languages, including Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Spanish, French. I'm sure I'm forgetting some. I know there are more than that. So those are generally going to be better translations for pleasure reading, for independent reading for students. But of course, there aren't nearly as many as we'd like. And if a student is assigned a book, there may or may not, and probably is not, depending on the language, a translation that we can give to them. If they're looking for something in Spanish, we have a pretty good chance of finding a translation. Other languages, it's harder. So having the Overdrive book and being able to translate words or sentences or even whole paragraphs is really nice. We're excited that this option is available now because before we didn't have it. Okay. What questions do you have? Oh, go ahead. Okay. And if you would like just a demonstration or to have us help a student or just to have you try it yourself before you meet with a student, please do shoot us an email. And there are lots of options and ways to customize. So be aware of that if you have a student who's complaining, well, I really like it, but the reading speed is too fast or too slow. You can customize that. Or I really don't like the voice. They may or may not have lots of choices or few choices for that. Does anybody have a student that they think would benefit from this? Or are you wondering like how, say if a class is reading a certain book, how to make sure the student has a digital copy? In terms of getting the right book to the right student, we can assign a book if it's available in Overdrive/Sora. We can, to a limited extent right now, as we're starting to get short on funds, but we can buy the audio version for students. And the audio version in Sora is often an actor reading it or the author reading it, and those are really nice and can be better than the voice. Although what is nice with the computer voice is it will highlight and students can read along, so that can be helpful. Someone must have a question. Has anybody used Sora or Overdrive or Libby from the public library? If you have any questions, just pop them into that chat. We can keep talking for a few more minutes and then I'll stop recording.
It seems like in the past this has been particularly helpful for kids who don't qualify for Bookshare or in the process of trying to qualify for it. This gives them options. And then also for our ELL students, it gives them options for, especially the ones who really struggle and who are very new. This will give them, more options as far as reading our school curriculum.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. Oh, you use Overdrive for personal books. And yes, Sora is the school library version. That's the one where we are able to purchase books to add to the account. But the public libraries also have the same system. They just might call it Libby. You can get books there as well, and so can students. And right now and going forward, students can get digital library cards. So they don't even have to visit the library. They can just go get their card and their PIN number and start using it. One drawback of the public library, well, and ours as well, is that there can be waiting lists and hold lists. So one thing that's also really nice is using Epic or Tumble books for kids, because those have unlimited copies. And Epic has a lot of audiobooks that are great. But neither one of those has very many books in other languages, a few in Spanish. Oh, how do they get digital library cards? I can go pop that link in here and share a document. But basically, there's a link they go to, they fill out a form, and then the public library is also available. They have phone hours in case anybody needs help with that. So I'll put that link in here. I was going to add about the English language learners. They don't qualify just because they're an English learner for Bookshare. They would also have to have a text disability. So they can't get that access to the ebooks that some students can, even though they do often need the text to translate. And if they're reading, say, a book about the Oregon Trail and they need it in Farsi, we're not going to be able to find that as a human translation. So it's really nice that they can use this as an option. I'm going to go, oh, Epic Books, yes. Carrie, do you want to talk about this?
Sure.
I'm going to go get that link.
Yeah. So Epic is really great, and kids can, some teachers have Epic accounts that their students use. Or we also have Epic with a free access code right now that students and teachers can use to access books. And it's really good for the elementary kids. And they have a lot of read-alongs. Like Miranda said, they don't have a lot in other languages other than Spanish, but they do have lots of read-alongs so that books can be read aloud. And I can find a link to Epic as well. And any staff member is welcome to start their own Epic account so you can access books. Lots of classroom teachers will, if their kids are signed up with them, they can assign books to their kids. Let me grab a link for you for Epic. And then I noticed... can Epics be used with Loom? So yeah, so Epic ebooks, you could, those of you who have been recording, doing screencasting with ebooks, same thing. You would open up the Epic ebook on your screen, and you could do a read-along recording with it if you use Loom or Google Meet to record or Screencastify. Yep.
Yeah, I feel like Epic has added some more picture books lately, and they are great for the read alouds. They have some
definitely.
The other nice thing about Epic is Some books are labeled audiobook, and those are just the sound, and so you can't use the page, but others are read-alongs, and students can read and listen, but if you wanted to record your own voice, just don't turn on the read aloud. You can look at the pages and read it.
Yeah, I really like that. I like that feature a lot. So yeah, let me grab an Epic link. Sorry, talking and clicking at the same time.
Well, I'll talk for a moment while you. So I just put in the link for a Google Drawing graphic that is for elementary, and I'll put in the secondary one as well. But that has Sora, it has the public library's Libby information, and on that information as well is how to get the digital link for a digital library card, and the information about doing that. So yeah, anybody can get a card right now online, and they can use that for all the ebooks and other resources. Any other questions? And again, be sure to contact us if you have any questions, or you have a specific student where you think this student really needs this book in order to translate, or it would benefit them a lot to hear this read aloud. And we can work with you on that on the best way. There's so many different ways to provide that. Sometimes we're limited by what publishers have or offer us, or what's in each different service, but there are lots and lots of options. All right, I am going to stop the recording, but feel free to hang around and ask us questions, or to email us if you think of questions later.